This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We have a monster amongst us, and I need him or her outed. I need to look at everybody in the room and know if it was you. Tony, I don't think you. Roy, it might have been you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Today's Bimal Sandwiches Day. You know, we've talked about this in the past. Like, Bimal's in town, so we had good sandwiches delivered here. Breakfast sandwiches, there's probably a dozen of them out there. You know, some ham, egg, sausage, egg, and cheese, turkey, bacon, egg, all the good stuff.
They're out there now, you're saying?
They're gone now, but they were out there.
Thanks for telling.
So there was one left. So I was like, oh, man, there's one left. I'm going to eat this one. I open it up. The top layer of this English muffin had been taken away. Like, somebody decided, I'm going to open this sandwich up. I'm just going to grab the top half of an English muffin, and I'm going to eat that and leave the rest of this sandwich here.
Yeah, that was me.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I can't eat the
last
eggs.
one I would have chose.
I can't eat the cheese. I can't eat anything. So I just grabbed.
But you ruined an entire sandwich.
But like, all right, see, this is actually, it's not
Open
that
face
much
now.
Wait, he can eat the bread?
Yeah, I can eat the muffin. I can eat the top part of the English muffin is what I could have. So I had to scrape off cheese and because...
Oh, so you scraped there. So what I ate, because I ate the rest of it.
Jesus.
Did you scrape with your
so
finger?
Wait a minute. So it's a monster, but you ate it anyway?
Well, yeah, I'm a monster too. The
Right
monster
above it,
move
though.
by
A
you.
hungry
See,
monster.
the step
Yeah.
of doing that is not monster activity. Leaving it there like it was an untouched, like you left it in the exact place of, oh, here's all the sandwich. Like,
But
you should have taken that one.
The reason that it was is that everything else was gone. You guys had all had breakfast. I'm coming in 2 hours
That's
after
me.
everyone else.
I'm coming in 2.5 hours, and that's the last sandwich there. So I'm like, oh man, yes, there's one. And then I open it. Oh.
I assumed everyone had already eaten breakfast, and this was just a part of leftovers that get left there every day. So I just
It was a leftover full sandwich, though.
That is,
you don't just pick it apart.
Chris ate it anyway, though. I just needed a piece of a sandwich. I couldn't have the whole sandwich.
I turned it into a little open face Sammy, huh? A little fork and knife.
But it's
I like that.
so what I did, though, which is not ruining the
You
sandwich.
saved me calories.
I did not think I was ruining a sandwich.
It's ruining a sandwich.
But he ate it.
Yeah, but you ruined
I'm a
it.
monster. Ate a
Like
ruined
that.
sandwich.
You should have asked, or at least
He's a
told.
garbage disposal. You can't
I
lift
should
him
have
up
asked
as a
whether or not.
rationalization.
Yes.
Explain to me why I should have
Yes.
asked about the meals. You guys don't pay
I could
anything
never.
for these things.
Is
I could
right?
never
everyone
do
done
that.
with the sandwiches? I can only eat the English muffin portion of the sandwich. Is everyone done? I'm
Should I
going to take the
start
top layer.
And I would
mean,
argue
the
sweat
courtesy,
equity.
Dan. I
Should I
mean,
Sweat
start
equity
putting
is how we
three-
pay for those
Should I
sandwiches.
start putting $3 down every time I grab a sandwich?
No, I'm just curious how this happens. Where breakfast is bought, I thought everyone had breakfast.
Right.
No one pays for breakfast. All I've had of these delicious Bimal sandwiches in the history of them being brought here is this single English muffin
You're
half.
missing out.
I've never had any part of these sandwiches that you guys are always raving about, but everyone's eating all the pita bread. There was nothing there for me to eat.
Pita bread.
Pita bread. What does that have to do with it?
Because I wanted pita bread, and in replacement
I
of the
see.
pita bread,
Right.
I
You
just
ruined
had
the sandwich.
I ruined the sandwich by having half an English muffin.
I went from being angry at you to feeling sad for you. Like, that's your life. You just, like, you see that sandwich and you're like, oh, what can I eat from this?
The
This
worst
top
part.
Muffin,
Yeah.
And I'm going to...
Many would argue the bread's the worst part.
You should feel sad for me because I, after the litter that is left from the parade, went and grabbed what was left. The parade's come through.
Yeah.
Like, you guys devour. I have laughed with Hildy and Kristen because it's like a pack of feral hyenas who've never been taught how to eat or when to take a break, just attack what is now running water and a kitchen and sandwiches. And so what gets left behind usually is a muffin fragment for me.
You've never tried the full sandwich, though. Those are the greatest sandwiches in the history of egg sandwiches.
They
That's
look
why
pretty
we act
good.
like that.
They look
Yes.
pretty good. So
it
good.
would have been nice to have another.
So
I mean,
good that even though I ruined it, Chris did have another.
Well, luckily, I'm the one guy in this whole place that'd be like, nah, I'll still eat it.
I would have eaten it. What is wrong
Because it's
with
like, I didn't know. It was a mystery. Like, somebody could have, I don't know.
It's rude.
yeah.
It's rude.
Just leaving it there. Like, that's the lesson to take from this. Next time, move the sandwich away. So I know that sandwich has been touched by someone already. Like, the way it was left was like, it was like a shining light on it. Like, ah. the last
Angels
sandwich.
were singing
and then
around
I
the net.
Tony and I was like, Tony, it's there. And then I opened it and he
What
laughed.
a bummer.
He laughed at me.
Yeah. You got to announce it or leave a sticky note, something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sticky
you do.
note.
Yeah, just
A
saying,
sticky
hey,
note.
hey, it's Dan. I ate the top of this, Just let someone know. Communicate.
And it's
That's
funny
all.
because I shamed the room out loud and Dan kind of sat there like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, it was
Oh, but
Dan.
Tony told you. I thought I heard Tony say Dan ate
We were just making fat jokes.
Well, no, Dan, when he said it, I'm the investigator, so I was like, I think Dan took it as kind of like in jest of like, Dan would never do it. He doesn't eat bread.
Tony, I walked right past you guys chewing on the top part of a muffin.
You famously don't eat carbs. I'm
I thought
with
it was
him.
Peter
I would have
Son that
thought
he ate the bread.
I would have
Yeah,
thought
it
if
was
I would have
weird.
offered you the sandwich, you would have been like, I can't eat the carbs.
I think he's totally savage too that he would have just taken the egg.
Where
And
did
I
you
think that would
guys
have been
come
worse.
up with that? I don't eat carbs.
If it was just the English muffin there, I would have thought that was
I
you.
don't really see you eat bread.
But
I
it's
know
not-
you have a very restrictive diet, so I would assume
French fries
glutens
on
in
your
bread.
salad too. So
Yeah,
no,
that one
wait a
was
minute.
odd.
No, this also
weird
gets,
diet.
this
It's a weird
gets
diet where you can have bread and-
misrepresented.
I don't
French
change
fries.
every
Changes
day.
every day. I mean, it changes by the
I
hour.
am so
I mean, no
tired
garlic.
of this
diet do
accusation
you want?
of eating salads with French fries
Dan,
on top.
They
We've
were
seen it.
on them.
Listen,
We've seen it.
This, yes,
They were croutons.
Delightful, by the
what
way.
you have seen is that there is no time around here to take time to eat. And what you have
Kristen,
seen
put the fries in the
is me
salad.
grab fries and just throw them in the
vinaigrette.
tub of thing that I am eating.
Right. So
Right.
The
not fries with a salad,
the
right?
plastic tub. I am not actively ordering fries on a salad. I don't have an area to the side of the salad where to put the fries,
You
so
throw
I
'em
throw
right
them in
right.
the corner
Right.
of the bowl
Weird.
of salad.
Our mistake.
And also
That
have
our
fries.
mistake. We totally haven't seen you eating that salad with fries on top of it.
You guys are making it sound
That's our fault.
like I have my
It's like
salads
you go through the drive-thru.
always
Can I have a
with
salad? Does
fries.
that come with fries?
You have seen this
Diet
twice.
Coke.
Yeah.
2 times you have seen
In my
me
life,
not
in
have
my
a
entire
place.
life, I've seen it twice.
You have seen me not have a place for sides and therefore take the fries and just throw them where the lettuce
Thank
is.
you for clarifying.
Yeah. Mash it all together, huh?
It's a handful of fries. You guys are making it sound like I have a fry salad. Like you guys are making it
Sounds
sound
delicious.
You guys,
It does sound amazing. I mean,
you guys are making it sound like it's a tower of fries that I throw some lettuce on. No wonder I'm fat. Dan thinks a salad is made with fried potatoes.
I know how restrictive the diet is. It's odd that you can have fries and bread.
I usually can't have bread with eggs, so we will find out whether or not that muffin that I've just had.
If they
I
touch
had
each
a
other, is
black
it fine?
bean the other day, and it made my stomach explode.
one?
Single black
A
bean.
single
How'd
black
you find
bean?
one
A
black
single
bean?
black bean.
Where is this restaurant that is serving you a single black bean?
Black bean.
It was
I
in
mean,
a veggie burger. I saw it. They told me there were not black beans in it, and then I
lied
saw
to
the
you.
black bean. Yes, that's
What a
right.
Could that have been
what a-
soy?
What a sad existence to be like, let me get a veggie burger.
No
But
beans.
make sure there's no
no-
beans in
I gotta be
Extra
careful.
veggie.
The
What life
veggie
are you
burger
living?
alone is a sad existence. I mean,
That's correct.
What life are you living when that's super restrictive, but you have your salads with fries?
And
it's
I'm
a,
fat.
It's
And
a
I'm fat.
paradox. You are a walking dietary paradox.
How much would you pay to be able to eat whatever you want?
Without like it
Like,
getting
yeah, like,
sick
no
and
ramifications.
stuff.
No ramifications.
Zero. Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to eat whatever I want if I wasn't going to have any stomach problems or any issues with it. Yeah,
So would I. I mean, I'm not having any of the breakfast
why you don't eat,
sandwiches.
though.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why I fix it. Don't eat.
Yeah, don't eat.
Have you had any of the breakfast sandwiches? Have you
I haven't
ever
had-
had the
I
didn't
breakfast
have
sandwich?
lunch.
I
Yeah.
love the breakfast sandwich. The breakfast sandwich is probably the reason why I needed to go on this diet that I am presently on.
So good.
You guys have been ordering great food with the metalworkers in town. The food has been ridiculous, and
Never
it's been
leave,
really
guys.
difficult.
Bimal, Carl, don't leave.
It's been really difficult for me to actually go through this diet while they've been in town because the food has been tremendous lately.
How furious were you at the place that put one black bean on your veggie burger? You had like later on, you were furious, right?
It wasn't
Did
a
you call
black
them?
bean on a veggie burger, Stugotz.
I know Mike wasn't
Weird.
eating, and there was a time that we all got Mexican, and they brought a whole bunch of trays of like queso and cheese and fajitas and like
Great
taco
queso.
stuff.
Oh.
And then Mike walks in and is like, wow, this is a great spread. Walks over to where the
Your
fixins are.
mouth is watering as you
It is,
describe
yeah.
the cheese
you,
from
you
Lime.
felt that, right? Yeah, I felt it too. So all of a sudden, Mike grabs a bowl, and I'm like, oh, finally he's gonna eat. I haven't seen Mike eat in like
This is
6 weeks.
We were happy he was just going to eat something.
Yes. And then what he does is he picks up a bowl that has a shard of lime in it, and then he squeezes the lime into his mouth. And it's like, that's lunch. Thank you, guys. And he actually went back for seconds and got a second lime and also squeezed it in his mouth and then threw it away. And that was lunch.
And
I felt
something
so sad.
I'm doing is making you guys sad. You just wanted flavor?
Yeah, I eat limes. I like a tart flavor profile. And while everybody else is honestly ravaging a spread, it is like Walking Dead out there. People make the same similar noises
It's
too.
crazy. It is so weird.
Yeah. And you actually have Rick Grimes screaming at Carl in the background. It is something to behold when you're not actively partaking in it. It's like, wow, we are savages here. You say it's so judgy when you're not actively enjoying it, and I'm just cranky because of my diet. So now I've just stopped going out there when everybody's out there communally because it's so difficult for me to experience.
In Tahoe, Mike's about to play. Mike and Stu are about to tee off, and it's like, all right, we're going to be out there for like 5-6 hours. Let's get a good meal in. Mike was worried about how he looked, I guess, in his outfit.
Yes.
He just ate this like salad with like olive oil.
And I kept telling him, like, Mike, you have to eat something. You might want to eat something. I mean, Chris and I attacked that media buffet.
Cut
It was a terrible burger, admittedly.
Oh, it was awful.
You know those, those media burgers? You know those media
great.
burgers.
So dry.
Wasn't great.
There's like 60 of them.
There's
you
not
grab
enough
them with
ketchup,
You grab
yeah.
them with the tongs, you put them on a bun, and then you put that piece of cheese that never melts. It's just the worst, saddest
Old
burger.
cheese.
It's starting to make sense why I got so hammered on the 17th hole just a day later. Having nothing but lettuce and olive oil in my tummy.
Is it Social Security number?
So that's a tricky one, man.
Roy, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is the media burger the saddest of the
Oh, my
burgers?
God, the worst.
I want to read a quote to you about Pete Rose.
Charlie
Stugotz.
Hustle. Yeah.
The quote is, the things he says and the lack of self-awareness are unreal. Bad guy with literally zero morals or scruples and not 1 ounce of couth. The quote is from Curt Schilling.
Wow.
What is couth?
You don't know what
I've known
couth is?
uncouth.
Like tact?
So that's a synonym for it.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that word, and I've learned naff recently, and faff.
But if Curt Schilling says you're a bad guy with literally zero morals or scruples and not an
You
ounce
could be talking
of
about
couth,
Obama.
I mean, it's a pot kettle situation, isn't it?
Yes.
Bad guy with literally zero morals or scruples.
I mean, I did say on Monday, I think at this point we can call it on Pete Rose. He's a bad dude. So,
You think we
but
can
it's coming
call
from
it?
Curt Schilling.
You think
I'm
we
not
can
saying
call
it's much
it?
better coming from me, but
We can
it's
close the book on Pete
That's
Rose
an
now.
interesting. I think Stugotz is right about this. I think we can call the race. We can call it in his 80s. It's when he gets accused of having sex with someone who is 16 years old, and his response is, "That was 55 years ago, babe."
yeah,
Yeah, game's over.
yeah.
We can call it in his 80s.
That's when I called it, yeah.
What took you so long? What took you so long, Schilling and Stugotz, to say that it can be now called? Something that I wanted to talk to you about, Stugotz, and I haven't been able to get it off the ground here for a couple of days now in mentioning it, and maybe at this point I just have to throw up the white flag and surrender. People don't care, period. But the part that makes it hard for me to understand people not caring is that it seems to me, whether it's Ethan Strauss's Substack, where he writes very often about Woj because people seem to really want information on how Woj and Shams do that job. He left sports writing. He writes about a bunch of different things that aren't sports related, but he keeps coming back to this story because it generates traffic every time. So when I say you're not interested in this, someone's interested in it. It is interesting to people when Shams breaks a Durant story that is me or them, seismic story, and ESPN waits 6 hours until the owner comes out with a press release, and it looks like it's in protection of Sean Marks, just like the reporting from Windhorse on Ben Simmons being traded and James Harden being traded.
Right.
Windhorse was saying there was going to be a trade. Woj, in apparently protection of Sean Marks, protection of sources, was telling you that trade wasn't going to happen. And I'm asking you, how do you guys care so much about the insiders and stuff, but you don't seem to care at all? You seem to care about who gets it first, and then you don't seem to care on this one when the journalism appears to be compromised. When your information guy is coming out 6 hours later, when it's got to be so immediate that Woj is ruining the draft because he's coming out with picks seconds before the teams announce the picks. Why do you care about how the job is done? I show you the sausage, and yet you don't care at all about when the job is done in a way that's compromised.
I only care about the news, to be honest. I don't care how these guys go about getting their news. I really don't. I just care about the news. Now, I could be in the minority, Dan. I think a lot of people do care about that stuff, okay? I'm just not one of them. Give me the news. I don't care who breaks it. I don't even care who breaks it first. Just give me the news that I crave and covet. And if it comes from Shams, so be it. If, I don't care that Woj is delaying it 6 hours to protect Sean Marks. I just don't care. I already have my news.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are drawing the conclusion that he's protecting Sean Marks. It's funny that those two reporters in particular, Woj and Shams, occupy such a rare air that it's like bird and magic. If one of them beats the other one to it, it's a big deal entirely. That's not usually how this is supposed to work. If another NFL insider comes to a story 6 hours after Adam Schefter gets it, they just didn't have that story. What? No big deal. But if Woj is sitting out this huge Kevin Durant scoop, we're all throwing our arms up in the air. It's like, whoa, what's up with this? Who is Woj protecting? It never used to be that way. You never used to hold against an insider for not breaking a story on the national level.
But I think Stugotz, though, is right when he is saying, just give it to me, and I don't want to go through all these machinations of where I have to think about where journalism is compromised, where truth is compromised, where there are conflicts of interest because there are business relationships, not just between Sean Marks and Woj or source protection, but industry business relationships where you are making money with your league partners in the televising of events. And in very many instances, your league partners are dictating, even though you're paying them millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, they're dictating how you do the journalism. And I don't know how many of these I have to place in front of the audience. Maybe the day is dead. There is no amount of these that I can place in front of the audience where the audience is ever going to care about any of what it is that I'm saying. That for 6 hours, ESPN sat on what I believe to be a giant story. One of the stars of our age goes in and makes an ultimatum that is leaked to someone else purposefully that tells you that at the top of one of the most interesting organizations in that sport, Kevin Durant has burnt it all down, taking it right to ownership and saying me or them. Like, that's a weird one for there to be 6 hours of silence from anybody
right.
on.
I think from anybody, you can circle that phrase because, okay, let's suspend disbelief, because I think we all have our assumptions about why Woj isn't reporting it. No one else from ESPN is reporting on it. Given what we know about Woj's influence there, that kind of seems like a concerted effort to make sure.
Oh, you know what, Mike? I should have said that part out loud. Yes.
Like, Windhorse isn't then reporting
No, but
it.
there is a ruling. What ends up happening is because Woj is in charge in protection of Sean Marks, all of a sudden an entire network that is league partners on something with one of the biggest stories you will see, no thanks, don't want it until the Nets have sent out the press release that says the owner is aligned with management, and then you have to comment on it. But the part, that's my mistake for not mentioning that. You're talking about not just Woj here, Stugotz. Woj is dictating everything on what's being covered by an association, an alliance, a media company that has a business relationship with the NBA and is in the business of news.
It changed. I don't know if it was Twitter. When we were with ESPN, it started changing where we would hear from like our higher ups over there, hey, don't report that yet. The news desk is verifying. And sometimes they would have their own reporter verify, or sometimes we would just get clearance. And now they're just straight up sitting out stories that they're not breaking themselves. They'll take credit for that report, sometimes days later when one of their reporters can get it independently verified through their own reporting. They don't want to give credit to other reporters outside of ESPN.
And how do you manage the disconnect of me saying, well, people don't seem to be caring about the conflicts, the truth, or any of it, combined with, well, they sure do seem to care a whole lot about reading about Woj and finding out when Schefter's in trouble and finding out when Schefter has said, Mr. Editor, like they do like that stuff.
Well,
It's
people
gossip.
have always liked that stuff. It's gossip, Dan. That's
It's
all
inside
it is.
baseball gossip about
They love gotcha.
the politics inside of ESPN. I mean, there was a best-selling book about it. People are fascinated by that. People are fascinated by beef. Who has beef with Woj? Who doesn't like each other? Who's on my television that doesn't like someone else? Why was this person pushed off of TV? That's great fodder. People love that stuff.
Dan Le Batard.
One of the great benefits of being married is your wife's purse. You can put so much stuff in there.
I would hate to be your wife's purse. You walked in here the other day with silverware in a pocket.
That's right, because
Yeah,
my
a
wife wasn't
spoon.
here to put it in her purse.
Stugotz.
Your wife must
Must.
be amazed at what a child you are.
What do you mean?
Just your eating
How
habits.
prepared I am, you mean to say.
Your eating habits,
You know
the
what?
mess that your desk is.
Yeah, the mess that my desk is. I'd just like to say this right now. Every single person in here, every one of yous, has benefited from something that I've had underneath my desk. You think that I haven't give people spare socks before? Because you'd be wrong.
You're a hoarder.
I'm prepared.
Underwear.
Underwear. Chris wore my underwear once.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code DAN for a special offer when you sign up. That's code DAN only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Tomorrow night, Stugotz, it appears that the Cleveland Browns are going to start Deshaun Watson as this particular mess has now arrived in a place where Roger Goodell is in charge of being able to dictate the punishment that Deshaun Watson is going to get. And it seems now a foregone conclusion, does it not? That it is not in any way going to be 6 games. Like that the reaction was hostile enough that the Cleveland Browns now have in their possession at least one lost season of football. They have given the most guaranteed money a player has ever gotten, and they're going to get at least one lost season of football. This year for the Cleveland Browns has been thrown in the wastebasket because Roger Goodell is doing the right thing. The Cleveland Browns, on top of getting all of the hits that they're getting in public relations, also are now going to have to wait for Deshaun Watson to come back and play football with 2.5 years of rust on him?
Yeah. So what? I mean, Goodell, to your... And
Well, don't you think that's physically hard? Like you said,
I think it will be physically hard, yes, and I think that's part of the reason they're playing him in the preseason, just because he's got to get some sort of playing time in and maybe get some of that rust off in the event that it's not a full year. But I applaud Roger Goodell. Like, Danny's arrived at a point, because I was surprised to see Goodell do this. But he is sticking his neck out there, and he's telling you, hey, I've seen the evidence. 6 games, not enough. I want a full year. I'm okay with that.
I'm not going to criticize it, but I don't think it's sticking your neck out. I think it's
easy.
Totally easy, yes.
This has been one of the easier
But I'm glad he's doing
moments
it.
in his career.
Yeah.
But he screwed up moments that we thought were easy before, too.
Well, I'm glad he stepped up to the plate. Like, get this one right. Just
Yeah.
in a vacuum, you gotta get this one right. So we'll see. I'm still very disappointed in the Cleveland Browns' lack of comments on this. We saw that statement that was terrible.
Well, isn't the comment we're starting him Friday?
Yeah, which is disgusting. You just found out he did this. Like, it's certified. You had an investigator take in all the evidence, and they told you point blank, your quarterback did these things. You're standing by the guy. You've made that decision. you're not getting, in my opinion, the consequences of that decision publicly right now. Because you can do all the we stand by him stuff beforehand, and we believe in him, and we believe in second chances, even though he didn't do anything wrong. But now you have the evidence heard, and you have the result of the investigation. And we've actually been cool with this the entire time.
And you say taking a year off, like that's hard for him. I say good.
Right.
You deserve at least that. Like,
I'm not.
lucky it's not two.
I wasn't saying hard on him. I'm saying
just
when he
hard
comes
physically,
back,
like,
right? When he comes back.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you're saying the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm just, that's my take. When you say that, I'm like, yeah, good.
I hope he's a shell of himself. I want it to be a very punitive thing. I want him to be healthy enough to play, but be terrible and set that franchise back even worse. I'd be fine with him never playing ever again, and they're stuck with Jacoby Brissett. I just want them to suffer the consequences of doing this. I hate the move. I hate what they did to me. I hate what they did to my fandom. I hate that they pushed me away. I was looking back at old Brown seasons when they were terrible, and I was missing it. I'm a weirdo like that. I was recalling the Browns' one win, week 1, where Jeff Garcia beat the Ravens, and I talked about it like most franchises would talk about a Super Bowl victory. I miss my fandom. They pushed me away with this. To hell with them. Drop the hammer.
Dan, I understand what you're saying.
I can't believe that you've that all of this has happened to your fandom. Like, what a Mike has gone from being
a big Browns fan.
No, but
he loves them. He loves them.
It was a team that I loved the most.
Yes.
I don't know that there has been. I don't know anybody in media or anybody personally who's a sports fan. I really don't. Who has been this affected, had their fandom this contaminated, where he has gone from riding with this team with one win in 2 seasons to I hate them, hate everything about them, I'm rooting for them to suffer, I want them to be terrible. That represents a...
Well, I think it's... Listen.
I mean, I like some of the players. Also, like, Nick Chubb's my favorite player in the league. Myles Garrett's one of my favorite players in the league. I love Denzel Ward. I think I'm going to still root for individual players that I had a connection to. I'm not going to ignore Browns on my fantasy team or anything like that, but I want the ownership to suffer the indignity of more losing. Yeah, you went for it. Yeah, you gave up all the draft capital and you finally nailed the quarterback that you've been trying to nail for 30 years. And now look what happened. I want to laugh at you.
I'm proud of Mike, Dan. With age comes perspective. He has a child. He has a daughter. Like, I'm proud of Mike that he has bailed on the Browns because he has found that it's not, winning at all costs is not worth it. And so good for Mike, like, for turning his back on his favorite team by far. Because that's what he's done.
Win at all costs. I have changed. And I still will have my hypocrisies. But, yeah, they pushed me away.
My point is, Stugotz, that for all of the moral outrage out there that you can find on any number of subjects, very often all I'm seeing and hearing is noise. It's just noise. It's not the action of I now hate and am rooting against my favorite team. Like, It doesn't actually happen very often. And I haven't met...
I don't think Mike's alone, though. I think there's other Browns fans.
But I haven't met any of these people.
I know there are people in that building right now that are rooting against their team, their employer.
I have not met many people who are willing, because you get accused of virtue signaling when you do these things. Our show gets accused of having gone to the extremes on not being able to talk about this stuff without having a bunch of moralities seep into it.
Virtue signaling is such a term used by the worst people to try to call someone out for saying something that's actually like maybe kind of decent. Like, all Mike is saying is that he's really disappointed in the team he grew up with because they did something that's pretty disgusting. And if you want to say that that's virtue signaling, like, I don't know why we need to even entertain that term as something to be critical of.
He's not just saying it, though. It's the doing of it.
Yeah,
it's one thing to say it.
I'm not even signaling it. I'm trying to be virtuous, which is something that I think we should all aspire to, by the way. Right. Like, virtue is not a bad word. This isn't a cuss word. You can't... You're trying to own someone by alleging they're trying to be virtuous?
You are virtuous and awake.
Yeah.
You are.
Putting his money where his mouth is, Dan.
No longer sleeping. I am aspiring to virtue. I'm not signaling it, though. Like, this is I've thrown out Browns hats, so I'm not going to games anymore. I'm gambling again.
But Dan, he's 27. Like when he comes back, I understand what you're saying. How's it going to look? He's still going to be great at playing quarterback.
I just don't know what the
He'll
effects
be 27
are.
when he comes back.
That's fine. I don't know what the effects are, and neither do you, of a quarterback of that age just sitting for 2 years.
We saw it with Michael Vick.
Are we then assuming
Michael Vick was a pretty good example.
that the third year that is going to be...
He's going to be good.
He's going to be good.
He's good.
Going to be the prime of his athletic career.
Last time we saw him, he was good. Even though the team wasn't very good, we saw him be very good on a bad team. That's a dynamic talent. There's a reason why Dabo said if you pass up on him, you're passing up on the next Michael Jordan. He's had that top level talent that has eluded the Browns almost their entire existence, and it's driven Jimmy Haslam to totally sell out. Cast his morals aside, what little he had, by the way, because go ahead and dig into that rebate scam of an owner and what he did with Flying J. And he just cast it all aside in the pursuit of winning. Not worth it.
I'm less sure than you guys are that sitting out 2 and 3 years of speed level there, and I'm not saying that
it might take a minute.
I'm not saying
according to camp reports, it's not taking him a minute.
Right. He looks
like
great.
He looks good in camp. He looks like a significant upgrade over the quarterback that I hope drags them all week 1 in Baker Mayfield.
I am rooting for Baker Mayfield.
Oh, that
I
would
really
be
am.
so fun.
I
do
want
do
him
your
to have
stupid
an
little
MVP
dances.
type.
Do it.
Yes,
I want him to light
yes,
them up.
same.
Then it'll be bad the rest of the season by all means. But week 1, just be the good Baker, please.
Yeah, be great.
Did you feel any pity for Sam Darnold
No.
watching? Do you know what I'm going to say or no?
No. I just don't feel pity for that man.
Do you know where I'm headed with this?
I hope it's not bad. I mean, I hope it's not something I should feel pity for. I mean, go ahead.
But you don't know anything.
I have no idea. You asked me if I feel bad for Sam Darnold. I said no.
Yeah, that is what happened. And I want to now come up with a hypothetical where he is suffering under some terrible tragedy that makes it offensive for you to say no before you've heard me out.
Hypothetically speaking, let's say he had mono.
Nope.
It's not hypothetical. Sam Darnold is dying.
We all are. Yeah, day by day.
Everyone has their day, Dan.
Sam Darnold walked onto the field with Baker Mayfield, a Carolina practice field, and because Baker Mayfield represents cartoon hope of a new football town, Stugotz is legitimately wincing right now, afraid of what's happened to Sam Darnold.
He was diagnosed with something.
He was diagnosed with being a bad quarterback.
Well, I knew that years ago.
And he ran onto the field with Baker Mayfield, and the fans were very happy to see Baker, and Sam just quietly snuck into the field with no enthusiasm whatsoever. He used to be hope for Carolina Panthers fans, but that was so 2 years ago.
And now there's a new hope. Who's outplaying him by a wide margin in practice?
There's 2 new hopes.
Yeah, Matt Corral. They have a turnstile of hope over in Carolina.
They really do.
It's Teddy Bridgewater. It's Cam Newton again for the second time. It's B.J. Walker. It's Sam Darnold. It's Baker Mayfield. It'll be Matt Corral. The chips will land at Matt Corral.
That's all just in the 2 years of Matt Rule, by the way.
Exactly.
Guys,
which is why he has to win now. I mean,
while we're talking hope, I mean, Josina Anderson tweeted Tua absolutely slinging it out here today.
Oh, boy.
Dolphins offense is firing on all cylinders. Ha! Oh, goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I saw,
It's Cowardly Lion now from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Can you guys answer for me what Kelly Olynyk was doing in his wedding photographs? Being dressed up, everything beautiful, everything looking like your typical wedding photographs, and then sitting atop his flowing blonde hair and his general surfer kombucha attitude, a snapback baseball cap.
Oh, I was jealous, honestly. I wish I could have worn a hat to my wedding.
That's classic Kelly.
Dan, I feel like you're a hat guy. Couldn't you? Don't you wish you could have?
Yes, but I wouldn't have been allowed in my wedding
Right, I'm with
photos
you.
to take pictures with it. What looked like a cheap snapback baseball cap.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
It's as iconic as your forward-facing graffiti hats.
Do you guys remember that like scary story growing up where it was the girl who had like the choker necklace on, and then one day someone took it off and her head fell off, and it was supposed to be like, ooh, scary. Maybe it's like sewn to his head. Like maybe if you took his hat off, his whole head would come off.
What story is this that you're mentioning
remember
of this
Tony-
scary?
He played with it, right? In the NBA? He plays with a snapback.
Yes, I've never seen his head. Tony, you remember those scary stories book?
I know the scary stories, but I don't particularly remember the one with the choker and the head falling.
That's a good campfire one.
Yeah, it was terrifying. That's when chokers were in too.
And you take the hat off for a
And they
day,
were out,
though.
now they're back in, now they're out again.
seriously.
But she loves him for the man that wears the hat.
I know, but you're making it your day. It's her day.
You've had a hat sewn to your head for the last
Criticize
3
all
years.
you want. I'm well aware of that. I knew that was coming, okay? But what I'm telling you guys is I went to a Tony Baselli Hall of Fame party, and I took the hat off.
At the enshrinement, you were wearing a hat.
The enshrinement, I was outside, Mike. It was hot
So was
out.
everyone sitting next to you? They weren't wearing hats.
I love how you're giving your bona fides of taking your hat off.
I
like
take
the other
hat
night,
off
I
for
did
an important
something.
occasion. I mean, it was Tony's day, not mine. I mean, come on. Take the hat off. You're getting married. It's her day, not yours. You made it about Kelly Olynyk.
Maybe she likes the hat. Why are we
Don't like
painting
the
all
hat.
women as being anti-hat?
Why is it just her day? It can be his day too.
I mean, Jess, we can agree most women don't want hats at their wedding, right? I mean, that's not...
I don't know. I don't speak for all women.
I mean, if you're
despite
marrying
what this
Kelly
show
Olynyk,
makes me do every single day.
on this show you do. On this show, you are the voice of women. I'm
Would
sorry.
you want your groom to wear hats?
I don't know if he was very, very adamant about wearing it and it made him happy. I wouldn't really care that much.
I could see Lehman in a hat.
It's the worst nickname ever.
I was hanging out with Jess and her boyfriend the other day. His name's Lee. It's hard to give the name Lee a nickname. You can't put a Y on it.
No.
I know, but I wanted to give him a nickname. I came up with Lehman. What up, Lehman?
Called him Lehman for an entire day. Like
He
the
was really
bank
good
that
on-
defaulted during the mortgage crisis in 2008.
It fit because he was like really helpful with the boat stuff, and anytime he was doing, attaboy, Lehman.
Yeah.
Starboard, I would just say boat stuff.
What's his last name? Oh, you don't want to give that out.
Finer.
Feeney. Finey.
Fines.
Fines. That's good.
That's a fine. Why did you feel the need to give Lee a nickname?
I'll tell you why. This is actually, it's a
Everyone
conscious
needs
decision.
one.
It's because it was my first time really hanging out with, I mean, we've hung out with him, but it was like, I was like, I'm going to connect with Lee today. Yeah. And that's how dudes connect, man. We give each other nicknames. Yep. I'm like, how am I going to connect with him if I don't have a nickname for him?
Did he give you one?
Yeah, we're getting there.
All right.
I didn't want to pressure him. I didn't want to be like, hey, give me one by the end of the day.
Your name's Chris. Your name's Chris. That's already a nickname. He didn't call you Christopher. Yeah. Christopher.
Were you trying to show him? I don't know what that was or why it is. We said Christopher that way. Were you trying to just show Lee by giving him a nickname? I like you. I'm trying to build a bridge
to be
to
welcoming.
you.
Well, honestly, it's just a thought. We were standing around before the boat, and I just like thought of it. It wasn't like a real conscious.
Well, it's
decision I
clear
made.
that it didn't have a lot of thought
Right.
in it.
Lehman, I'm telling you, it caught on. By the end, Izzy was like, Lehman.
It has not caught. It's never called him Lehman.
I'm calling him Lehman.
I will never call him Lehman.
Just so you know, that's his new nickname.
Lehman.
No, it's not.
Nah, it feels good to say it. Lehman.
I love the idea of you building a bridge to him and him not wanting to get on the bridge.
Nah, he wanted to be on the bridge.
Him backtracking and
bridge.
being
You
like,
wanna be on
"That's-
Toad's
I don't know
bridge."
if I want to be on.
He was skeptical of the bridge.
She's doing show. That's not true.
Yeah, she doesn't mean that.
I believe she
We all
does
love
mean that.
Lehman.
Classic Lehman.
Lehman.
I believe that Jessica's boyfriend Lee.
Lehman. You ever seen I Love You Man where he calls him Jobin? That's kind of what I was channeling.
That's what it was.
What's up,
But
Lehman?
that wasn't good. That was funny because Paul Rudd was.
See you later, Jobin.
It was funny because Paul Rudd didn't know how to make a friend. That's particular. You did the same thing Paul Rudd did in trying to reach Jason Segel unsuccessfully.
Ladies on the men's.
It would have been funnier if you called Lee Jobin, I think. It's a catchier name.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I was trying to connect.
It would have been a finey.
Lehman.
You didn't feel self-conscious at all after
Never.
you did that?
I've never felt self-conscious.
That a boy.
Let me see your belly button.
Nope.